Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of What Do You Say Anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully lead to a great discussion. On today's episode, the allies of the What Do You Say Anime podcast will be reviewing the 2024 anime Bang Brave Bang Bravern. Let's meet today's Gagapis. First up, despite his disdain for horse girls, he owes them a debt of gratitude for funding this series. We got Jay. Jay, how's it going?
It's true. Me and the horse girls have a sort of well, it's a blood pact. There's really no sugarcoating it. So I'll probably have to go meet a horse girl after this, and I'm gonna get my knees kicked in.
Sounds good. Next up, he braved my bang until I braverned. We got Kat. Kat, how's it going?
Yeah. Good night. Good night. Good night, sweet.
That was really good. That was really good, Pete. That's like one of the best ones you've ever done. Yeah, that's like one of the best ones you've ever done. I really, truly.
Thanks. That was literally the last one I came up with. I was having writer's block. I thought that was actually kind of cheap, but fuck it. I'll take it. All right, cool. Our first spotter tonight. We can feel his presence inside of all of us. We have Miles. Miles, how's it going?
I am very talented. And don't worry, Pete, sometimes the lowest hanging fruit is still tasty.
Absolutely. And
Like
Pat.
that One Direction song.
What's up, guys? How we doing today? We ready to bang some Braverns and drink our Kona Big Waves? Hell yeah. I love that. Oh, shit.
An official sponsor
Okay.
of Bravern, by the way.
I love yeah, pretty much. I just love the fact that I go to open it and it's been sitting on my desk for 20 minutes and it still just explodes. So that was really cool.
I braverned all over you.
It did Bravern all over me.
You should have shotgunned it. That would have been way cooler.
Oh,
We've already got
everywhere.
We probably would have gotten like 100 subscribers off of that alone.
Haven't we had Pat shotgun a beer on camera before?
I think so.
Yeah.
Probably during one of
Wouldn't
our
surprise me.
one of our episodes. I do remember that. That was like a COVID Pat thing, though. I mean, I don't have any beer.
You were a different person back then.
A more capable person back then, sadly, at shotgunning beer. I could still do it, but not. I don't think I can shotgun a Kona. That's a lot of IPA-ness, or not IPA. Just said penis. Yeah. What's wrong with us today? I'm not even drunk either.
It's
That's
just
the name
you,
of that
buddy.
band. That's the
Yeah,
name of that
you,
one
buddy.
band iCarly episode, isn't it?
No idea.
I penis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
That one's a joke for the Zoomers.
I mean,
It's only the
I
start of the
see
night.
knowing
We've
the
already got
director.
wet pants.
Nice.
But yeah, all right. I guess it's time for. What's wrong with us? Yeah. So we're gonna be reviewing the show Brave Bang Bravern. God, that title, Bang Dream Bang Brave Bang Bravern, whatever. It came out in winter 2024, so pretty recent for us. And yeah, it's an action comedy sci-fi adult cast mecha military parody show. And yeah, Miles, why don't you start us off with your first impressions?
So I had heard about this show from Jay, lots of good things, and some other people in the Discord, but mostly Jay. And I have to say, the show did not disappoint. It was really funny. The characters were very enjoyable. I thought it was animated pretty well. And I mostly, and this is most important, just had a good time throughout the entire show. There are some nits that I might pick, and there are some nits that I might not pick, depending on how we talk, because none of them are that big, and it was really just fun and an exciting show from start to end. And I'm excited to talk about it. So I would recommend it.
There you go.
It's
All
the
right.
thing I'm supposed to do on this segment of the show I helped create.
4 years. We'll figure it out in the 5th year. No worries.
I think we're in year 5, if I'm not mistaken, for Watch Club.
Yeah, we probably are in year 5, aren't we? All right. Well, you figure it out in year 6 then. Kat, what about you? What have you got?
Yeah. My first impressions of the show, I just kind of heard that this was going to be the Pride show, and first impressions, first couple episodes were pretty. It was one of those shows that feels like I would have watched seasonally and wouldn't have had any problem with it. And at first, it took me a little bit. It was a little bit hard to get on the ball of watching, but I really started to enjoy it later in the show. But overall, I'm not really sure if I would completely recommend it. It's very anime, like it's very roots of anime, like what people think of when of an anime. I guess it depends on the person when it comes to my recommendation.
How so?
Okay, so you heard it here. Ask Cat. DM him. You can find him on our Discord. And he'll let you know.
Send him some mail at P.O. Box.
Yes, and then he will learn your personality from the letter and then recommend or not recommend Bravern to you. This is real.
Well, actually, what Cat will do is he'll take the letter and he's going to cut the letter into tiny strips. He's going to put those strips into these capsules and then he's going to take those every day for a month. And then after taking them every day for a month, he's going to get real strong, get 4 to 8 hours of sleep every single night. And then he'll understand you fully and become truly infused with you. And then he'll let you know if you can watch Bravern.
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
All right, well, that's how you get your recommendation from Kat, because he kind of said I might recommend it depending on the person. Don't know which person he's talking about though. So Pete, why don't you go next?
Yeah, so we did this for Pride Month, and I was going into it thinking that this was going to be like super gay robot, and then I watched the first episode. I'm like, yo, where is my super gay robot? And then episode 2 happened, and I'm like, oh, there it is. Kind of like mimicking everyone else said. The show is just like really fun, even if you don't like mechs or robots or anything like that. I think what this show does really well is just have a really good time with what it's presenting. It's not like super deep. It's not like super emotional. It's not like super combat heavy. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but like, I don't think that's like the emphasis of the show, but like, it was just really fun. And if you like if you like having fun, I would recommend the show. If you don't like having fun, do not watch this show. Miles.
All right, Jay, what about you?
Yeah, so if you know me at all, if you've hung around in our Discord at all, which by the way, if you want to come and discuss Bang Brave Bang Bravern with us, come visit the Discord. Link in the description, probably. You'll know that this show I was hyping it up literally every single week as it was coming out. I'll just talk about it how I felt the first time I watched it. I went in blind, not knowing what to expect. For reference, the robot, like Bravern, was not shown in any of the promotional material leading up to the release. He was not like in the trailers or anything like that. We thought it was a real robot show going into it. So this blew my mind when it happened because it's just like incredibly silly a lot of the time. To echo what Pete said, it's a lot of fun in general, but I think it has a lot of heart is the main thing. Like it has a soul to it that it never compromises. It always just shows its true self at 100% of the time. It's always going like full throttle, even in the like softer moments. Like there's usually some sort of like emotional thing happening in the background with either Isami or Lewis or Lulu. And I think in general, like if you're somebody who is interested in super robot stuff at all, even if you don't like mecha, if you think like, hey, maybe I ought to try something out, see if I want to get into the genre, this is a really like solid entry into the genre, although some of it will be kind of lost on you as it is a parody of the genre. But I think it's something that sort of stands up to the test of like multiple rewatches as well, especially with like some of the plot details we'll get into later on. So I think that this is something where you could watch it as an intro and then come back to it after you've watched a few more things and some older things so you can appreciate it more, which is more or less what I did this time. So yeah, I would 100% recommend it to everybody's surprise.
There you go. All right, yeah. And I also would recommend this show. I had a lot of fun with it. I was frustrated that it wasn't as politically dramatic as I thought it would be, especially after the first episode. I kind of thought they would lean into that a little more. And also just knowing the genre, I expected more of that, but there was more just like good guys versus evil aliens than it was political drama. But that was fine. And I also expected it to be a bit more serious. And just knowing nothing going into it, I expected it to be a bit more, I don't know. I guess serious is the right word, and I think we can delve into that later on. like the more details behind it. But at the end of the day, I still enjoyed it too. It was funny as hell. It was so much fun to watch. All the characters are really funny. The dialogue's really clever. There's almost always something going on screen too that is it can be a joke, but can also be very serious or meaningful to the what the story or the message they're trying to send. And yeah, I would recommend this show to basically anyone that likes mecha. I think, like Jay said, the parody aspect of it is there, I think, and a lot of people will enjoy that from that perspective. But then I would also recommend it to people who aren't as into mecha because it's a little bit less heavy on the things that I just talked about wanting that may scare away people from other mechas as well. So yeah, that's our first impressions. So yeah, who wants to start us off with their first talking point?
I have a talking point for Jay, who I think is probably most equipped to talk about this. And Jay, if I'm just like putting knowledge into your head, tell me I'm wrong. But Pat's description there, I think, is a good sort of spring off point to talk about the difference between real robot and super robot shows and like where Bravern fits into that. If you want to,
yeah. So the idea of Bravern is so. We can just talk about real robots and super robots real quick. For those of you at home, I'm going to give and I'm not an expert on mecha at all. I'm a novice to the genre myself. In my experience, so real robots are things that they're sort of rooted more in a sci-fi sort of sense where there's like sort of law, like even if they're not hard sci-fi, they have rules and laws that they follow in terms of like physics as well as like building the robots themselves and designs and stuff. So something like Gundam is a real robot series, despite the fact that it does have some sort of like fantastical elements at times. It has like set laws and is generally a little bit more grounded. Super robots, on the other hand, Bravern is a super robot, so he just like they work off of like they don't have like a ton of logic to them. They're meant to be a lot more like fantastical for sure, not really grounded in reality. Something like Gurren Lagann is also a super robot show, with how like incredible the scale of that gets. Off the top of my head, something like I guess Power Rangers, like the Zords, would kind of be like super robot stuff with their fusions and whatnot. So it's more or less like separating, like when you're separating hard sci-fi from soft sci-fi. And Bravern is interesting because it bridges those gaps in a really interesting way in that he's in a real robot world and he gets dropped in to sort of help out. Like they kind of sum it up in one of the middle episodes where they're like, these things don't make sense and the only way to fight them is with something that makes even less sense. That's Bravern. Like it's a portrayal of like what it actually would be like if a talking super robot got dropped into a more realistic world, which is people would get tired of his bullshit sometimes, but it would also probably be very helpful.
It's funny you say that because like the Aru is just like, do we really have to include Bravern in the beginning? It's like, I guess like he is a super robot. It could be helpful, but they're like, God, I'm so sick of this motherfucker.
Yeah, like whenever he's like chapter 1, the two meet, and then like it goes back and they're just like head down. Yeah.
Well, even like I think it's like literally episode 1 where Isami first pilots him, and he's like, "Where is this music coming from?" Right? Like the music is literally like his theme song is actually getting played by him.
Yeah,
and like there's a scene later where you see like he's like projecting like the
symbol,
transformation.
the
yeah, and it's like. So it takes those elements of super robot shows, where you have like, the theme music and like a transformation sequence and all of these things and like fitting them into this world where it has to like actually exist. And I thought that was super fun. So I really liked that sort of element of it. Even though I'm not super familiar with super robot shows, I think that it's pretty easy to get a grasp of what's happening. More or less. I'm sure I missed a bunch of stuff, but the main beats I think were easy to hit.
I'm glad you brought up Power Rangers because to me this felt more like a Power Rangers than a Gundam. And going into it, I guess I was expecting, I guess kind of like what Pat was thinking maybe too, like with like the political stuff where I see robot, I think Gundam type of thing in my head. Like I'm a very simple brain mind person where I kind of liked that it wasn't that, and I did like how it was more just like, new monster comes up episode 3, they defeat him. New monster comes up episode 4, they defeat him. Then that Power Rangers-esque style of like fighting the next boss or whatever. So props to Bravern for that. That was fun.
Way to turn a political fuckfest into a monster of the week.
Yeah, well, so I think that's part of the thing. Like, as from my understanding, like super robot shows aren't generally these political dramas that, the real robot shows are like known for being. And so, like, setting it in that world, was pretty fun.
It's tough when like the only other super robot show I can think of is Gurren Lagann, and that is kind of political. So it's like,
I just want to say before the YouTube commenters kill me, Power Rangers is not a mecha show; it's a Super Sentai show. I understand that. I'm just comparing the robots.
100%. It's like when they all come together to form a whatever their Zoid thing is called.
The Megazord.
Megazord. Yeah.
Voltron is a super robot show to give you another thing to grasp on.
It was kind of like Transformers too, in a way. Like that's the way I was like viewing this show. It was like the super robot aspect of it, I guess. Without realizing it.
I don't know where Transformers actually falls on that, to be honest.
It absolutely falls under super robot.
I feel like it depends because some of them are, I mean, they're all almost, well, they're not all. A lot of them, by their nature, are very practical machines. But then, like, also, because, like, Optimus Prime is a big rig. Megatron is a tank. Like,
Megatron is, well, it depends on the...
That's what I was getting, because Megatron is also, like, a fucking... jet dinosaur. But like,
Starscream. What the hell is wrong with you? Come on now.
Starscream is just a jet. He's not a jet dinosaur.
I've never seen a single thing of.
In the third one
of the reason. Go ahead. Sorry,
I'm not talking about the movies. That's.
Oh yeah. No, I was thinking about the Michael Bay movies and the horrible choices he made.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
I guess my thought was like just like the super robot aspect to me, or the way I was viewing it was, it's not real sci-fi because the way they transform, even though they're not fusing, I guess, although who knows, they probably do fuse in Transformers at some point, right? Surely they do. Because like
there are ones that are fused together to form a larger mech.
But their transformation is always just fantastical and completely not based in any sort of reality, right? That would make any sense in the human. Or in the
I looked it up and apparently people just say it depends, but it definitely has a lot of super robot stuff going on. Yeah.
Well, I don't even necessarily know if this is the first super robot show we've watched on Watch Club, right? Because like Razefam involves a mecha that is like a super powered, god not based in reality sort of entity.
Yeah, I would say Razefam is a super robot show.
I couldn't follow the plot of that movie that we watched for it, so I don't know if it was political or not. But
yeah, Razefam has literally shown up in Super Robot Wars. So
okay,
yeah, I'll give it to him.
Hell yeah, you're welcome, guys.
If you've been in Super Robot Wars, you're a super robot. I don't make.
So we were just talking about like the general like feel of the super robot, right? Like and like how it impacted the show. Like, did you guys care much? Because I guess I kind of commented on it in my early thoughts that like I thought the comedy was great and the action was very cool too. They did a good job animating it when they tried, at least. But I was just sitting there frustrated at like how like almost every single time it was, oh, surprise, he's strong enough to beat the bad guy now, or he believes hard enough, and like did you guys feel that way?
I watch too much Power Rangers.
Well, that's fair. So that's what it's supposed to be, maybe, and that's, I understand now, like that's the genre it is. But I was just sitting there like, I mean, can we see some like character development? I guess what's his name does go through some.
Like
there's
Lewis
plenty of
dies.
character development with
Well, no, Lewis died. No, for sure, and like there is. But to start at the start of the show, it felt like it was very just, oh, surprise, the day is saved. Like,
so yeah, for me, like I really liked the first like 3 episodes. I thought it got a little stale. a little bit after that, and then like episode like 8 forward, maybe I thought it just sort of hit the gas and never let up, and I like thoroughly enjoyed all of
That
it.
last third is like cinema, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I had a great time, and like we know that I love like time loop bullshit, right? That's like my favorite thing. So one, Lewis was my favorite character. So when he died, I was fucking pissed. I was like, Isami, you're so fucking get in the fucking robot, Isami.
He is basically Shinji in a lot of ways.
I almost said that earlier. I did almost say that.
And like, so I was just like mad. I was like, my fucking American hero died for this guy. And then he came back and I was like, what? Oh, I think I like stood up from my couch and was like, because I did not see that coming. I don't even know if it was hinted or not. Just didn't see it coming at all. I don't know. Did anyone else see the Lewis is Bravern twist coming? Like,
it was a theory a lot of people had.
Okay, watching like week to week or whatever.
Week to week, yeah. The time loop theory. It was considered a crack theory though, but it had a small but loyal fan base.
Okay,
right.
I didn't love him coming back. I talked to Miles about this beforehand, and I guess with the theme of the show and with how little of it is grounded in reality, it makes sense that he could have come back. I guess he does come back technically twice, right? But I was in the boat of leave him dead, make it mean something, kind of in the same. All right, Gurren Lagann spoilers for those who have not watched it. Maybe. Miles, you won't.
I know who dies.
You know who dies.
This has been spoiled for me before I even thought of watching the show.
Fair enough. Like Kamina dying. Like he doesn't come back. He comes back in the sense of like flashbacks or in like motivation and everything else. But I that's what I was expecting Lewis to come back as. So when he came back, I was kind of like, I don't love it.
I think that's a little bit part of the parody. I think. Sorry to interrupt you, Miles.
No, we interrupted each other. You talk.
I think that's kind of a little bit part of the parody aspect of it, though, because Gurren Lagann is like a huge mark on the genre. Like, that's something where that was kind of like the one where even if people didn't like super robot shows, a lot of people really liked. Like, there's so many people in America, especially. Not to call you out, I know a lot of people like you, where that's like the only super robot show they've ever watched. It was me for a long time. Like, I think that it's kind of parodying that, and it was not parodying in a way. It's like taking the concept of it and reconstructing. Exactly. It's reconstructing it by showing, like, we can have the development of that happening and also, like, show that he was here the whole time, still affecting the plot. It's almost like Himmel, in a way, from Frieren, in my opinion, where, like, he's not there. Like, more direct than Himmel, obviously, but even though Lewis is dead, like him being Bravern, him and Bravern are still separate characters. So you see him affect the plot through both Bravern and the way that he affected both Isami and Lulu, as well as like the forces in general.
And a difference between, and this is, okay, again, I've seen one episode of the show, so I don't know. But my impression was that Kamina is sort of like a mentor character for whoever the kid is.
He's literally the big
He's an older brother.
Yeah,
he's
older brother.
Yeah. So like Lewis and Isami have sort of more of like an equitable relationship, I think. And like, I guess in my opinion, mentors dying is, when watching something and a mentor dies, I am much less likely to think that they are going to come back in any way.
Yeah.
Than when someone who is like a partner, love interest, inspiration, but equal, like they're both missing parts from each other. Like Lewis wants the role that Isami has. Isami wants the courage that Lewis has. Like, you know, they complement each other in such a way. They're not a complete character without each other, which I think is like a major theme in this anyway, with how, you know, Isami and Bravern interact with each other, where when you have a mentor die, it gives the mentee the chance to develop into themselves and become a full character, where if Lewis was dead, it would feel like Isami was like missing part of himself, if that makes sense.
Just look at my background.
And then also you have the best visual ED in the history. It feels like it's out of Top Gun or something. It's great.
I think that they were doing nods to like Top Gun and stuff like this. and
Should have
stuff
had a
like that
volleyball
as
Yeah,
well
I'm
in
missing
this.
the volleyball
Right.
scene.
Oh, that would have banged. They
I guess they
definitely
did the
need to have,
boxing match.
they should have had a volleyball scene in episode 11 on the beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
But further to your point, really quick, Pat, like I guess I don't blame you for thinking that because normally I'm very much on that train. The one clip I had seen from this was a clip Jay showed me of Bravern cutting out things from a runner, like a Gunpla runner, in order to like build stuff. So going into this, I very much knew what the tone of this show was going to be, and there was no room for me to be like, oh, this is not matching my expectations in any way.
At one point, Bravern just has a gigantic boom mic that he uses to broadcast the fight.
No, again, that's why. So I guess again, my expectation going in definitely changed, but I still expected like, oh, so it's silly, but then it will still have that final like, oh yeah, no, he is dead because that's what that's kind of the point of him dying, right? Is that he helped Isami get to ascend to what he needed to become or whatever, and then he had served his purpose. So
Yeah, I mean, Bravern died.
yeah,
Like,
man, I
Bravern's
love
dead.
that. Until he wasn't.
He's still
No,
dead.
he's
He
dead.
died at the end. He
Yeah,
died
it
at the
depends
end.
on how you view that, right? Like,
He doesn't
you-
have the ability to transform anymore. He said it himself.
he does, and yeah, he's like, I can't be a super cool robot anymore. I don't know. Like, I mean, I do get it. For me, I wanted them to live, and then when they already established that like magic time and they like explained it well enough for me to be like, okay, fucking who cares? Like when he's like, oh, like the heart of this lady had like the ability for like time dilation, and the explosion activated it, and then it like fused my core into the robot. It was like, none of that really makes sense, but it makes sense within context of this show being the way it is. And like,
I just keep thinking it just works.
yeah,
Like,
it just works. Like placing a settlement down in Fallout 4. It it just works. Like currently I'm reading Project Hail Mary, which is like I think supposed to be harder sci-fi, and like I'm getting annoyed at little things that would not annoy me in this show because it's silly, if that makes sense. And I mean it's not to say that you're wrong to think that way, because I get it, because like I think everyone has like a threshold for that. And it's just going to vary.
Your feeling is valid, honestly. Like, I get you want there to be like what I'm getting
This is a very
from what you're
consistent theme
saying
from
is
me,
you really
too.
want you kind of wanted there to be like your sense of like stakes is tied to like they can't, like, knowing they win at the end kind of messes it up a little bit for you. Maybe it feels like.
Well,
But we did have them taking L's at points, like.
I just want to say,
Pseudo showed up.
there are some shows that I have notoriously given low scores, and I that you have given high scores, Pat. And I get mad when people don't stay dead. And
Which one?
well, so there's Violet, and then there's Bunny Girl Senpai, where so like I understand your feeling, because like if Mai had just died in Bunny Girl Senpai, that would ruin the show for every human on Earth besides me specifically. Like,
well, Mai does die, right? And then it's just that.
Well, yeah, and then she you
Right.
know,
Collect the
stays,
Dragon
stays
Balls,
fucking
yeah.
dead.
No, valid. And well, the one and in Violet, at least to me, it's like, all right, well, they
Wait,
like
I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen the movie
No
yet.
spoilerinos.
No
Lip
spoilers.
seal done. Lip seal
Well,
done.
okay.
Yeah.
I have to say that is what
I'm pretty sure I know exactly who it is.
Yeah,
Because who the
I
fuck
just-
else could it be? But
sorry.
still,
All right, well, go watch the movie. It's really fucking good. It's
I'm
like-
going to watch it at some point.
Pete and I cried in the episode we recorded
True.
talking about it. Like, it was really good.
I haven't watched the movie. I actually just thought that was how the show ended, but that's neither here nor there.
It's okay. Still love you, Miles, even though yeah, fair enough.
It's
Well,
okay.
then again,
We all have bad
say-
opinions.
yeah, no,
There's
we'll
a lot of them.
you
I know.
just spent like 2 minutes telling me how my opinion isn't bad.
Yeah, I was saying
And
I have
then
the
now
bad
you said,
opinions
oh,
in this
okay,
case.
okay.
We all have bad opinions.
No.
Specifically
Yeah.
me in this case.
Miles is talking bad about Violet, so now I'm gonna be mean to Miles.
Yeah, that's
Your immune system is trash. Yeah, there we go.
Good.
You should have heard about the
Got
last
him.
episode we did. That dude was dying on the pod.
Oh my god. I want to give credit for like, so the theme, right? We wanted to do like a Pride episode. And so, Pete was saying like one episode in, he wasn't sure. And then 2 episodes in, he was like, oh, right. So, like, I mean, Braver shows up and just makes like 77 innuendos about how good it feels to have Isami inside of him, right? That's like pretty obvious. As it was getting a little bit later, I was getting worried that it would only ever be like implied stuff. But then we get a beach scene where there's like literally a love confession. And also, I think they have sex with each other, however that would work. Unsure, since one of them is a 10-foot tall robot, or like a 20-foot tall
Well, let's
robot.
break this down, okay?
Yeah, so I'm the biologist, and I'm here to explain how that.
How much hentai have you seen, Miles?
We need an engineer. Wait, we need to get.
I've seen
we need to get
more
an
hentai.
engineer in here.
We know.
Yeah,
that.
okay. So
that's why I'm
we can
asking
talk.
Miles.
We can talk to each other about, like, I'll explain the biological aspects, and they can explain the engineering aspects, and we'll get there. But I felt generally satisfied with the amount of, like, I don't know. I guess it's just anime always has me doubting, but there was like a literal love confession. They said they loved each other a few times. They weren't like making out on screen or anything, but that's not super common for shows like this anyway. So, like, I don't really view that as like a knock against it.
Bravern did compare bonding with Isami to the Japanese concept of meet cutes, basically, which is like matchmaking stuff. I don't know. Like, it's. Some people will see this as a Pride episode and go, oh, they should have done, like, I don't know, like, what is it? Given's like straight up gay, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was about to say this
something
didn't feel
something
yeah.
pretty, like, people will say that they want something more like openly queer, like a boy's love or Yuri or something like that. But I think that, like, it's important to show, and I'm only mostly doing this because I'm the one who nominated this, but it's important to show, like, different themes when it comes to queer works and stuff like
100%.
that, even ones that aren't meant to be like openly like boys love or whatever like that. I think that, like, a lot in the anime space in particular, especially when it comes to like male on male romance, a lot of the time it is very clear, like, boys love is specifically like a genre that is written for women.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But it's written, the way it's written is meant to be inherently, like, fully sexualized in a lot of cases.
Yeah, it's supposed to be titulating for the reader, right?
Exactly. And I think that that's, like, it's important to have different, like, show that there's different, like, queer works besides that sort of thing. And I don't think it's possible to deny Bravern is a queer work after the love confession and, like, them writing their names on the beach and all that sort of, like, we've literally have, like, official art of them after the show where they're in, like, 2 white tuxedos holding roses and stuff.
They're just
stuff like
roommates,
that.
bro.
Yeah, I don't know. In my background, like,
This also exists.
I mean, you and the bros don't just take your shirt off and start dancing and singing.
like, what I'm trying to say is I would understand where the complaints are coming from, and I don't think they're, like, I gotta say again, there's nothing wrong with wanting it to have been like a boy's love or anything like that, but I just wanted to nominate something else is all. That's it. Like, I'll probably nominate an actual like straight up boys love in the future for non-Pride stuff even. Like, it's not like we don't just nominate gay stuff every, once a year or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Like, we just did Yuri is my job, just like a
And
little.
we had Kaze-san and Morning Glories.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. My thought here, Jay, and you can probably answer this better than me since I'm like a straight dude, but, like, I feel like there's such a, for stuff that is like a queer romance, there's like a pretty tough barrier because there's a history of erasing it. The bar that needs to be crossed is higher than, because I can feel myself doubting, like, the romantic interest maybe a little bit until some of those later episodes. But I do think if it was like a man and a woman, I probably wouldn't have any doubt in my mind. And that's just because I get worried that the rug is going to get pulled out under it, And so
that's
you always
completely
sort of-
valid, honestly.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of, like, I mean, just straight up, we'll say it. There's a lot of queer baiting in anime. Like, I mean, look at, like, people will, like, great show, by the way, not hating on it, but, like, something like Sound Euphonium, oftentimes that is literally just like, nah, dude, they're just, like, being real friendly, basically. Like it's
that's all added by the studio too, from my understanding of Sound Euphonium.
Yes.
Which is pretty crazy to think about.
Like the other thing I was going to nominate was the Revue Starlight movie, which also has people doubt that, and the characters canonically end up paired off together. Like, I don't know what else. Like, I understand why the bar is high, but I feel like sometimes people are like just not even receptive to things that have queer themes, like if they're just subtext in a lot of ways, because they're just so jaded, for good reason, mind you, because of stuff like in the past that happens like that, you know?
Yeah, the way I was looking at this was very similar. I agree with what Miles said, that if they were a guy and a girl, I also probably wouldn't have even like thought twice, like, oh yeah, there may be some like romantic interest there after the first few episodes. But the way it felt like to me was very similar to how I felt about Yuri on Ice, where there was so much of it, but then at the end of the day, they didn't actually show them kiss or embrace or say like confess, which of course in this one. But again, they
didn't show the kiss.
They
on screen,
don't though. So again, like, so to me, as someone who was like observing it and being like, oh, are they going to actually do it? Is that the point of this show, or are they just supposed to be really close? Like, what's like, is it actually what you're trying to show or not? And the fact that they didn't show it, you know what I mean? Like, because to me, like, again, I was like, oh, they hugged, whatever. And of course, you know, like, where I was just
it's valid, honestly. Like, I get wanting to just be like, just show it.
Just show it if you're trying to say something about it or trying to represent it, then sack up and do it. You know, like you know, like that's where. And I understand
a little different, but yes,
sometimes it can be hard with like these corporate like.
Of course,
at the end of the day, Bravern is done by like Psy Games, and they're just a massive company. It's like the same thing with like G-Witch, where like Miorine and Soletta are together at the end of the day, but we don't. Whatever, man.
They get engaged in episode 1.
Yeah. If people don't think that they're like together, even though we see like a matching rings and a related characters, a character saying related to Soletta saying sister-in-law and stuff like that. Like, I just don't know what else. Like, it's hard. Like, it would have not happened. Like, you think that the creators of these shows don't want to have more openly like queer stuff in their media? It's like, no, this is like, these things are meant to sell toys. Corporate is going to stamp down on and say, like, you know, 15% of the population of Japan isn't going to buy this model kit if you do this, studies show, so tamp it down a bit. Like, we even had something like that in like the West with like Avatar: The Last Airbender, or Legend of Korra, rather, where like they, in some Latin American countries, they just didn't even show the ending of it properly because people would freak the fuck out. Like,
and that was really tame.
It's unfortunate, but that's just like when you're dealing with these properties that are like corporate properties, not like indie properties, and you have to go through like boards and stuff and like, you know, economic advisors and shit to get it even made, panels and whatnot. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that we need to be thankful for what we get, because we should always like push for more.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should just discard things because we were saying like, oh, they could have done more.
I think that's like a good outlook. I guess I just can't blame anyone, also myself sometimes, for just leaving a bad taste in my mouth occasionally. Like, I don't think this did. I think this was sufficient for what it was, in my opinion. But, you know, there are, like, when I first got into anime, after having done like a lot of like Western sort of media, like more modern Western media, where queer couples are able to be shown, you know, sometimes it's a terrible rep, but like they're there and they're kissing and stuff. You know, it was really weird to me when you would just have this very implied relationship for a long time and nothing would ever happen. You know what I mean? Like, because like we're thinking from a Western perspective too, which is like a thing to consider. But you know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, so that, I don't know, that's why I was getting frustrated with it at times. But then again, it is so, like, this one is different to me than Yuri on Ice was, at least, where it was very heavily like hinted at. I mean, not hinted, but you know what I mean? Like what we were talking about with that beach scene, the way that they talked about getting inside each other and stuff, like it was not, it wasn't trying to like bury it at all. It was, but at the end of the day, it still didn't show it, which I was frustrated by. But I understood, like you said, I understand why they can't do it sometimes. But damn it, isn't that frustrating? You know, like
Yeah, like I agree with you in that I wish that like the TLDR of that whole rant I went on, and I'm sorry about that, guys. It just kind of was rattling off. Is that I agree with you that it would have been awesome to have more. And I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm not going to like discard it and say it's not a queer work just because like it's not them like mouth kissing on screen, you know.
yeah.
But it would have been awesome if they were. Like
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I guess the frustrating part for me too was the fact that like in a lot of military things, like in especially in Western media, it is not uncommon, and I think that you guys referenced Top Gun earlier. It is not uncommon for there to be very
Homoerotic sub-themes.
intimate male or whatever, homoerotic like sub-themes, but they are not meant
They're not
to necessarily be
100%.
homoerotic. They're meant to be like, no, it's bros, like bros being bros, and like, and it's a love that is not romantic, but
It's okay. You
more
can compare it to
something else.
Naruto.
Yeah, what differentiates this from
The super
that
fighting
from-
robot, the Susato, is the super
oh
robot.
my goodness. For me is that like Maverick has a very clear love interest, like, you know, and Goose is married, and, you know, Rocky and Apollo Creed both have, you know, love interests despite them frolicking on a beach together.
We have like
You know-
somewhat love interest in this at the beginning, but they're immediate like they talk about how they're interested in the two leads, and then it goes literally nowhere from that.
You know, the girls think that the guys are hot because the guys are hot.
Hot, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they're
that's-
beefcakes.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
depth to the side characters.
Yeah,
at all.
one of them is just really horny. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it's
their nose is bleeding all the time.
I forgot what their names were.
They don't
honestly,
matter that
but
much. I liked them. They were fun. They don't matter.
Yeah. You know, you're right. You're 100% right on that. Actually,
Yeah, you know, if Agent Smith, or not Agent Smith, if like Lewis Smith was going home to a wife or whatever, I feel like that would sort of take away from it for me. But because that is not there, where they're like the only two people they express love for are each other, like that is, to me, that's what makes it sufficient, if that makes sense. Like, and I am satisfied with it as like a queer work. Not that that fucking matters at all, but you know what I mean.
yeah, I get you. You got
More
Miles,
satisfied than Yuri on Ice for me.
Miles,
so
you
I'll
get the
take
pass
that.
from me. Don't worry, bud.
Oh, thanks, pal. I appreciate it.
It expires in about 13 days or whenever you leave the United States.
Okay, 4 days.
All right, rip.
Okay, so other things I wanted to talk about really quick. What did you guys think about like the design of everything? I thought like everything looked pretty freaking cool. I thought the characters looked good. I liked the bad guys a lot. Like I thought they were neat looking. Some of them were misses, but I think it was because they took pretty good risks on the robot designs. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. Did everyone like how everything looked and stuff?
I
Yeah.
loved it.
Let Cat go.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It was like the designs for the robots were amazing. Personally, like it felt like Bravern took a lot of inspiration from like Gundam, and I forget what the main robot's name is, but like it felt like it took a lot of inspiration from that. And then also Turbia felt very similar to like Sentai characters, where like their mouths light up when they're speaking. So that felt really interesting to me. I also loved the fact that in order to push home that Lewis Smith was American, they made him blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and very homoerotic without being homoerotic. So, like, just in his look, just the Top Gun type of thing. And then Asami being a little bit more like standard anime character, just grown up and with a six pack. I like those like design choices. I also loved how Lulu's hair, like her hair was white with the black shadows in the back. That felt like an interesting way of pointing out that she's like not from the world. So I really like the designs and the choices and how that kind of really fleshed out how a lot of these characters would act.
I was a huge fan of the design of the robots themselves. There's a few that like really stood out to me. One being Ira, kind of looking like a shogun samurai. I thought his design was like absolutely insane. Virum Vita, I think she was portraying lust, but
No,
like
she portrays the end.
Yeah,
no,
she's
no,
like
sorry, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of the
yeah.
other one.
You're thinking of Noose, I think.
The one that was
You're
portraying
thinking about the one that like tries to, I guess, metaphorically
fuck
Smith,
Fuck Smith.
and
Yeah,
that's
they
Noose.
orgasm and die together.
yes. Cunis. Okay, yeah. For the
Unit.
a lot of these designs I thought were just like really fucking cool. There was one that was just like whatever. Pessimism.
Yeah.
I thought his design
He
was
was
like
funny,
whatever.
though.
Yeah, he was
though,
funny.
with how
Yeah,
he
I
was
liked him.
talking.
But I thought like the designs of the robots themselves were like S tier. I really enjoyed what I saw from those designs.
It felt like Kill la Kill. A couple of the characters' looks,
Yeah.
like
Hot
they
take?
did.
Yeah,
This is better than Kill la Kill.
I am scoring it.
I agree, actually.
I disagree, but barely. Like this was fun. I think Kill la Kill is just a different kind of show, though. Too, it's a little more
Yeah, they're definitely
depth.
two different shows.
more depth to Kill la Kill. I think in terms or layers to the message is trying to say. Maybe. I don't know though. Maybe that's not giving.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Kill la Kill has like a relatively simple message, but it's not like that it's bad or anything.
Clothes are
Like,
evil.
Clothes are
Yeah,
evil.
That's the message. Well, I guess that's my point. Is that it's like a layered. It is very
It's an onion.
yeah, like first you have like your coat, and then you have like a shirt, right? And then
Yes.
like under that is
Yes, it's a full
Wait, what's
outfit.
under that? You're scaring me.
An undershirt.
my corset.
A human skin suit.
Yeah.
No,
You don't put that on every morning.
Wait, you're
You
saying
guys-
skin's
you guys
evil?
don't put up-
I gotta
you guys
take all
don't-
this off.
Oh my god, I can't get into this. This is not like podcast material about
No, not
I
at all.
think about
Jesus.
my skin sometimes, but maybe I'll talk to you guys about like my insane delusions after.
All right,
Because they're
I'm gonna
pretty
server.
crazy.
I'm gonna server Butte Miles for a little bit.
It's a Patreon
going in
exclusive.
timeout. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, a Patreon. Yeah. All right, Miles, you're back. But
Okay,
hope you've taken a nice little lap there.
I have.
Good. How dare you try and talk to us about all of your very
No, it
important
is not.
intimate
It's not the time or the place. There was. I just want to say like a cool moment for this, and I want to see what you guys thought about this. This had like some elements of Eldritch horror, I thought, in it.
Oh yeah.
where like specifically it's almost like a reverse Eldritch horror where the death drives are using sentient life that they didn't realize was sentient life as a fuel source, and once they realize that it's sentient, it like fucking throws them for a loop, or some of them, and like really rattles their understanding, and so like the beings too advanced to or too different from us to like understand us, and they like dream and it ruins our world. It's like a very like Cthulhian Eldritch horror sort of thing, and I felt like I got that with these, and even some of the designs towards the end with like Verum Vita having like a very like supernatural sort of designed with like sort of like a biblically accurate angel type of thing, like you can't comprehend it sort of deal. But I sort of like how they played that in like reverse, where instead of us being like shooken by their existence because it's so foreign, them realizing what they had been doing to sentient creatures was like very, that sort of switched Superbia's side or whatever, like, right? It like helped make him Serbia.
Serbia was aligning with the super robots at first.
Yeah, Serbia was, the world was aligned together except for Serbia. And, but like led to that sort of, that switch in his thought process. Which I thought was neat. I don't know. It's like not obviously super Eldritch-y, but I thought there were some elements of that, and I thought that was neat.
I loved that. Like, I loved thinking about that. Like, on that episode, I was like, oh, dear God, that sounds like a D&D campaign that I really want to run. Just having that continually, having that run through my brain and thinking about how if they use that as a weapon, what would the other robots think about? But as like the last two robots were like wrath and gluttony, I was like, well, this kind of takes all of that idea out. But it makes me theorize about if there are more, what happens. It just a lot of imagination stuff.
Since we talked about or just brought up like what the robots were, did you guys like that? I always like it when they do stuff like that, like when there's a theme to the robots. So in this case, it's the mortal sins or deadly sins, whatever you want to call them. Like, did you guys enjoy that? Because I did. I thought that was really fun.
Literally my favorite theme in media.
Yeah, it was
Seven
really
Deadly
good.
Sins.
Like my favorite movie is Seven. My second favorite anime is Full Metal Alchemist. Like
Seven Deadly Sins. Seven
just
Deadly
like-
Sins is
yeah,
your
it's just
favorite.
like I
Yes.
want to get a Seven Deadly Sins sleeve on my other arm. Like I love that theme.
I thought it was kind of. I didn't think it was really deep in this one, and I feel like
Mm-mm.
for me to enjoy that type of idea, it needs to be a little bit deeper. It felt like it was just something to have the big bad be to as more of a plot device, rather than something that had a deeper meaning, kind of like Full Metal Alchemist, and it just kind of felt for me.
I think it's like a good way to add some personality to these people and like theming and like people will have caught onto it and go like I mean it's not like insanely deep or anything, but I guess like my argument would be that it doesn't really like need to be.
Yeah, it's just there to give them some flair, more or less.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of like attitude as opposed to like because we don't learn a ton about any of them except for like one or two of them. So. Yeah. I don't know. It just sort of gives them a theme to be built around. It's like how being a water Pokemon is indeed.
Yeah, I mean,
it's neat.
Besides for
I can
Relicanth.
see it, but like at the same time, it's just like personally, I wish there was a little bit more.
Yeah, no,
depth to it.
That's fair.
No, it's not.
Okay,
Cat,
Oh,
you're
you
wrong.
cat.
Yeah, no, yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, I agree though. That I what Miles just said, I think is the same idea for me. Where I was like, oh, it was just it's cool that they used it as a way to basically ideate probably all of the different robots that they were going to fight and how they were going to like design them from like a visual perspective, a personality perspective as well. And it lets you kind of speculate as you watch the show too, like, oh, what's Wrath going to look like? What's this going to look like whatever. I do see wanting it to be deeper though too, because who doesn't like deeper things?
Yeah.
Hey,
does.
Bravern likes them.
like
Oh god, I was not trying to do that.
Yeah,
guys.
okay,
All right.
Pat.
What do you
Okay.
mean? No.
I saw the setup
We-
there, Pat.
Apparently,
You set
yeah.
yourself with the alley oop and didn't even say thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
No, I
it's-
didn't, because I
Thank
didn't
you.
know it was coming.
Well, now you do, and now you know that you're coming too.
All right, guys, is the show rubbing off on us?
Yes, absolutely.
I thought personally, this is one of the funniest shows I've seen all year. Like this show was so fun and the comedy was hilarious. And I guess I want to get your guys' thoughts on like the comedy. I guess my favorite part for the comedy was the last episode where Lulu was like trying to like pump it up and like we need to overcome this. Like we need to do everything we can to defeat this. And then Izumi's like, nah, like I'm done. Like fuck this. He's like, whatever I did in the past, my bad. Like it's not gonna happen again. Like I'll leave and like bygones be bygones. It's just like
I surrender.
yeah,
I
it's just like
surrender.
I'm out. Peace. It's just like okay, this is why Lewis is the GOAT.
Yeah.
So that I think the show was funny. First of all, that scene like annoyed me a little bit because
Ooh.
Thank you. because like I don't know, Isumi's whole thing was supposed to like learning to be like a hero and courageous and stuff, and like
Bro, I think he was just mentally broken.
He
there.
tried,
He tried
really hard.
Yeah,
I
it
know.
went pretty far.
I like it didn't ruin the show for me or anything. I think that would have been a funnier joke to have sometime that he gets defeated in like episode 10 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it just
parody.
sort of flipped on itself really quickly. Like he goes Super Saiyan, is like, wait a minute, I don't give up.
Because Bravern came back.
Yeah.
I would stop giving up too if Bravern came back.
Yeah, but I feel
What's
like
he supposed to do?
It's like talking shit when the boys are behind you, and then you look around and the boys are gone. You're like, you know what? I was just kidding that whole time. And then they like all come out of the bathroom. He's like, just kidding. Let's fucking do this.
everyone talks when they're up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah. I guess like I don't know, that particular scene annoyed me. I think there's a lot of really funny stuff in this show, though. Like, one, that scene is funny. It just kind of annoyed me. Like, it is funny, but I also did find it slightly annoying. But, like, all of the, like, Lewis going, holy shit.
Holy shit.
It's just like,
The reactions were fucking
God.
great in the show.
Just
God
really
damn.
good. Yeah, God damn.
Damn.
And then, like, when they start speaking German and then Bravern starts speaking German, I thought was super funny. There's just, like, a lot of good scenes like that. I talked about, like, the parody stuff where, like, he plays his theme music when he, like, flies around, which I thought was super good. I don't know if anyone else has other things, but there's a lot of really good humor in this.
A lot of like one-off things, I would say, like not one-off, but like they don't like hammer it in and like focus on it. It just happens, and then they keep the show moving. And that I really liked that aspect of it. Sorry, Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you though. They don't let a joke linger for too long, which is an important thing to have in comedy as well. The bit where Lulu and Superbia are talking to each other and Gaga peas was good, and then they like Superbia switches to Japanese and it's Gaga peas in the like subtitles instead of the usual ones was good. The whole of episode 11 was just a lot of good fun, like for that sort of thing, like with them eating the whole like mahi tuna and stuff like that, as well as the other stuff. What else? The waterboarding bit, like the escalation of the waterboarding from Isami to Lulu to them trying to waterboard a giant robot.
The CIA guy just standing there watching like a crane dump a giant bucket of water on a robot.
That was really funny.
Yeah. And like it's part of his bit almost too, because he's like meditating during it, and he's meant to be a sort of like monk / samurai type, and meditating under a waterfall is like a whole bit.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I just thought that it was really well done with the humor, like paced well enough. Like it's sort of like Golden Kamui in a way, where like they have these dramatic moments, and then they can immediately have some comedy in them, but it doesn't take away from like the levity of the dramatic moment, because you just like you've been expecting gags and stuff like that, and they know how to time them. So I think that it's
they'll wait like
really
half a second longer to do a gag for you, so you're like, oh, I expect there, and it like hits you a little bit by surprise.
Exactly,
which is good.
It was a really funny show. Their dialogue was really good too. There was good physical comedy, and then also very good like back and forth like banter or fourth wall breaking kind of moments too, where they were like, oh, this is, how does that make sense, or whatever. Like there's a couple moments like that don't always hit, but I feel like in this show, given the way it takes itself, like the seriousness that it takes itself, it fits for that kind of show. It's almost like Deadpool, where like it's funny when Deadpool says like, oh, 2 bullets left, let's see what I do here, or whatever, like something like that.
Yeah, like whatever, they're like, this is the part where somebody says impossible, right? And then they're like, nah. And then a death drive, like I think it's Superbia, shows up, and so the guy, like Hal, literally goes, impossible. Like that, yeah. It's just a lot of like nice setup and stuff like that. I think that the comedy is a big part of what would get somebody into this show for sure. And it's a parody, so thankfully,
Yeah, it's good that it's funny. Otherwise, it would have been a bad show.
Yeah. Agreed, Miles. Thank you.
Thank you, John Madden. Back to the studio.
All right, he's a Popeye's biscuit away from being tight end, right? Something.
Yeah.
Okay. McFarland, no longer an analyst for ESPN. That makes me sad. I liked him.
Just you.
I know. I'm alone in that.
Local people liked him since he was a Pat, but it's a rare thing. Yeah. Okay.
I just thought he was funny. I thought his analogies were funny. Like, that's why I liked him. I don't know.
He was better than Jason Witten. I'll give him that. Okay.
guess
Are we ready to wrap up here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. Yeah. Anything that we didn't touch on, too, you can always add in your closing thoughts. But yeah. All right. Let's see if my PC dies while I open the calculator app. No, it didn't. Nice. Let's go, boys. Miles, what is your final score and your final closing thoughts?
Sure. In the opposite order, my final thoughts are that I had a lot of fun with the show. I'm glad that I watched it. It was something that I was definitely going to get to, but I take a while to watch things that are like recommended to me that aren't like a seasonal everyone's watching or that I can fit in, or like our watch club shows. So I'm really happy this one watch club so that I could like fit it in a little bit earlier. This was very fun for me, like knowing what I know about Mecha, and then just even not knowing the world's most about that. There was a lot of really funny bits. I really enjoyed the main characters. I thought the action was fun, and I just had a good, fun time throughout the entire thing. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which I think is good sometimes. Sometimes I just need that like mental break from shows that are like really deep, or not even deep, but like heavy, you know? And this was just like a show about two people wanting to make each other better, and like how they do that and how they save humanity and everything. And that was really cool, and I liked it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I had a great time.
8 out of 10. All right. Kat, what about you?
Yeah, the show was really fun. I didn't really understand at the beginning why we had it as our Pride Month show, but as I got further into the show, it very much clicked, and I'm really glad that one of the promos of the show is that they're both in white tuxedos. That kind of seals the deal a lot better than what Bandai did for, G-Witch, and makes me feel a lot better as an anime fan, is maybe times are changing. So with all of that, there's a couple things that I wasn't keen on, like Lulu's, like when Lulu was first introduced, her speech patterns. Those speech patterns always take away points for me for shows because it drives me up a wall. I'm really glad that she got better, and it's like one of the biggest glow ups in score for a character for me. And I think any show that I've watched going from like a 2 to like a 9. So, and she kind of carried the show for the last episode, except for Bravern and the Big Bang Bravern. So personally, this show is a 7 for me, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Jay, for nominating.
Really quick note. Sorry. When at the very end, when the like final lady is talking to Big Bang Bravern, she uses a pluralized you in Japanese, which is different. So you is like anata, and then anata tachi is what she uses, which is like you, but plural. So I guess to me, it was also not super surprising, Pat, if that helps you with like Smith coming back, because she was talking to Big Bang Bravern as if it was multiple people that were there. So that might be like a little hint towards that isn't obvious unless you know Japanese.
Well, thank you, Miles, for being such a huge Japanese nerd.
Thank you, Gaijin Miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miles Sama. Miles Sama. Thank you.
Miles.
Sorry, that was bad. I shouldn't have said that. My bad.
Be sure to come to the Discord and bet on how fast I'm going to get Nihingo Jozu'd.
All right. Pete, what about you?
This show was a whole lot of fun. I think even the spots where I wasn't fully invested in the story, they made up for it with just really fun dialogue and really fun like action and hijinks and everything that went along with it. I thought it was a great mesh of just combining a whole bunch of different things together and making a very enjoyable show. I was thoroughly entertained for almost the entire show, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something to be entertained. I like the parody of it. I know Miles mentioned like how he was annoyed by like Izumi kind of like going crazy at like the last episode when it was more like the 10th episode, but I think that the fact that they did it on like the 12th episode is like really cool. Like I like that they took it at that spot and not when you think it was going to be. So stuff like that throughout the show that they did was like Smith dying in episode 7 instead of like the comedy reference where this would be like episode 3 or something like that, where I kind of like how they structured the episodes and the stories together. A lot of fun. Probably the second funniest show I've seen this year. I'm gonna give this a 9. I really liked Bravern.
9. All right. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, so to nobody's surprise, I really enjoy this show. Like, it just made me feel like a kid again in a lot of ways watching it. Like, it feels like watching like Saturday morning cartoons when you hear that theme song and you start getting like hyped up and singing along to it and whatnot. Which, by the way, opening theme banger, ending theme banger, plus points for me, obviously. I loved the characters in this quite a bit. I thought that like they respected our time with it to where like the pacing was really nice, but we still got lots of characterization, and it was very snappy when it came to like the dialogue, action, and comedy, which are all pluses for it in my opinion. I do think that it could have been like it would have been cool if it was more like openly queer, like if we would have like gotten on more on-screen stuff rather than like promotional material or whatever. But hey, it's Japan. Like they're pretty conservative overall. So we take what we can get sometimes, unfortunately. Yeah, I said a lot about this show and what I think about it as like a queer work and everything. And I stand by it. I stand by what I was saying at the end of the season that it came out in winter. This is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Pat, we're
Hell
gonna
yeah,
need to
bro.
lower your score so we can get it straight. I don't know if we've ever done that before. So
What do you mean get it straight? Like,
Not this
Right.
month.
7, 8, 9, 10.
oh, that's true. We
Like-
can't
like
do
in
it.
poke.
Okay, never mind. We can't get it straight.
I'm giving it a
It's-
6. Yeah,
it's-
no,
I get it.
yeah. It's-
Or 11.
no, not an 11. This show definitely is better than a 6 for me, though. I really enjoyed my entire time watching the show. I was smiling or laughing and enjoying it. And again, I don't love that he comes back at the end. I do wish it was more serious at times, but that's just not what the show is. But also that it isn't what that show is. So that's why I probably enjoyed it a little less than I would have if it was that way. However, again, like almost everything we've said about this show has been very positive, and the complaints are very like stylistically like oriented more than like actual plot holes, which of course I guess the show is kind of protected from plot holes by being just this exists because it does screw you, you know,
You can
like
still
you
have
to.
plot holes. What it is like devices like time travel are probably given a bit more pass than they would be in something like Steins Gate or whatever.
Or in like or
yeah.
whatever, and yeah, in the same way the super robots being able to like revive themselves from death and like, you know, I don't know. So the stakes weren't super high in the show in terms of like who was gonna live, who was gonna die. It felt like at times too, like his squad gets like wiped, but they all survive. Like that again, whatever. That's just the show type of show it was. But for me, this was an 8 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed it, and I would watch more of it. Honestly, I really would. It was very, very cool. I don't think there's more you can do with it, but you never know. I love that it was an original too. That's really
They
cool.
kill the
Really good job.
7 virtues next time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they come from like underneath the earth because all the magma
Yeah.
was drained by that guy.
We have to kill chastity.
There we go. All right. So now when we average out our scores, we end up with an 8.4 out of 10, which is about I guess 4/5 of a
0.8.
point higher. Yeah, 0.8 higher than it was on Mal. Pretty good for us too. That's probably a top
Like differential, yeah.
top 30% show that we've watched, I'd say. Like, I don't know, somewhere in that range. That's pretty high for us. Good for you. Good job, Jay. Thank you. And yeah,
I'll
why
keep
don't we
pumping out banger.
yeah, you do.
And for context, other 8.4s we've had include Sunny Boy and Licorice Recoil. So
I also gave Sonny Boy a 10.
I didn't. So there we go. I'm why it's an 8.4. There we go, boys.
Monkey Baseball's peak.
That was funny. I do remember that. That was funny. All right, let's that'll wrap up our discussion of Bang Dream, Bang Brave Bravern. I guess Miles, what are we watching 2 weeks from now?
Sure. The votes are in. In third place, we have Princess Principal, the Crown Handler movies, earning its second legacy point. In second place, we have Gundam, War in the Pocket, earning its first legacy point. And in first place, we have Link Click Season 2.
Is that 3 J shows in a row I smell? Did I get a turkey?
I believe you did.
Ooh.
So yes.
Yep. That is 3 J shows in a row.
Preston was ready with the or the sticker. No, but all right, yeah, we're watching Link Click Season 2. I'm excited. I can't wait to finally get to watching Season 2 because now I have to. There's no more running from it like I've been doing this whole time. No more time traveling, doing the dance or whatever. God, I don't even remember no, I do remember the first season, but like I don't. You know what I mean?
I
think there's
someone decided ball was more important than life, and that's all you need to remember.
And the earthquake.
That was true, actually.
Oh my god. That's terrible.
Like,
all right.
Admittedly, it didn't matter, but he did not know that at the time. So,
but all right, that wraps up.
That's a I'd win moment. That's
what we're watching though. For I believe that's July 1st. We'll be doing that. So now, yeah, well, you won't be. That's right.
Yeah. I'll watch it though,
Mr. Japan. All right. Well, why don't we nominate our shows for the following week after that? So, Miles, what have you got?
Yeah, it did pretty well. So I'm just gonna like re-up War in the Pocket. I've been meaning to watch it for like a long time, and it's supposed to be like, I guess, like the best little standalone Gundam thing. It's a quick 6 episodes, so there's some more incentive. I know we all hate watching anime here, so wanted it as quick as possible. But yeah, we're gonna re-up that.
Yeah, pound some knuckles, Miles. There we go. Yeah. No. Kat, what about you?
Well, motherfucking Ghost didn't even fucking make it. So
the votes were pretty balanced for most of the shows, from my recollection. Like every show was close to getting a legacy point.
Yeah, so a little behind the scenes action. Uma Musume did not make the top 3 and was 1 point from winning.
Oh.
So because of the sheer amount of legacy points it has.
I should have messaged Gianna. Damn it.
Yes, if Uma Musume had 1 point, and someone else voted after I sent you the votes, Pat, which is why that's not adding up on your screen. But if anyone had voted for it in third place, it would have won.
Uma Musume or
Uma Musume. MF Ghost. If your goal is to win immediately or in the near term, I would switch from MF Ghost, is my advice.
Awesome.
But sometimes it takes a while. You could be like Pete. And honestly, we would vote for MF Ghost first. I promise you.
True.
See, I feel like I'm the only like racing fan here. So
Fox probably voted for it.
He did.
Yeah.
He did vote for it.
Fox voted for it.
Yeah.
And I think I voted for it because I didn't want to vote for Uma Musume. So
after all I've done for you guys, you can't vote for Uma Musume once?
No, I have voted for it more than once. In fact, Jay used to be a big proponent of Uma Musume back in the pre-stable formation days.
I voted for it.
The balkanization of our dear Discord.
Yeah, after
like
the
3 points.
Gentrification of the What Do You Say anime Discord.
I don't know if that's the right word to use.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Wow. Sounds like we went from fucking the Bronx to the Bronx now. Anyway.
Or Harlem.
Harlem.
Thank you.
Harlem.
That's more accurate, I would say. But fair enough. All right. Well, Kat, were you nominating then if you're not nominating MF Ghost? Or are you nominating MF Ghost?
I'm nominating motherfucking Ghost.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
That's what we'd like to see.
All right, Pete, what about you?
I'm low-key kind of depressed. We lost by a point. Like, I really wanted to win. Yeah, Uma Musume, read it up.
Yep, it's already on the list, buddy. Don't
Thank you.
worry.
How many races would a horse have to lose before it gets put down?
They don't get put down for losing races.
That would be so
They
funny.
get put down for being injured.
Yeah. They'll like end up studying or something. Like they can be retired, but you don't put them down.
You don't want a lame horse as a stud, though. No.
I mean, you don't just kill them.
All right, thanks. All right, well, I was making a joke, but whatever.
Well, I didn't know, man. Like, okay,
Ooh,
remember
that was a really
groundhog
bad
racing? Ground. What's the dogs?
Greyhound.
Or greyhounds. Thank you. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Because they would put greyhounds down if they didn't win. But horses.
See, I knew that. That's why I said that. I was making
okay,
a joke reference to that, and I didn't.
Okay.
That's pretty sad.
I thought it was
but
like
it's not
your
surprising.
New
I guess it's not
England
surprising.
sensibilities.
I'm full of those. Jay, what about you? What have you got?
I'm gonna nominate Orange.
No.
Okay.
Immediate no from Pete.
I'll fucking do it.
It's literally in my bottom 5 shows.
Okay, I'm interested now.
Sorry, I was confusing that one with Citrus, but I'm still gonna nominate Orange.
Oh wait, are you gonna nominate?
No,
Citrus?
I thought Citrus was in Pete's bottom. I meant to nominate Orange.
Oh no, I think
Citrus.
Citrus is like a 5.
Because Citrus would at least get one first place vote. I will tell you.
Fuck that show.
Yeah, I have 10 shows at 2, and Orange is one of them.
Orange is one of them. Okay, I'm curious now. All right, Jay.
No, Pete, you just made me vote for Orange first. I hate
Me too.
yeah.
I don't
Actually,
even know
Gundam's first for me, but
I don't even know if I'm gonna rewatch it. I'm gonna fucking just shit on it. I'm gonna be ignorant as fuck.
Just saying things that aren't true. Like I don't know.
I watched it like 4 years ago.
What's our last nom?
Yeah, our last nomination is going to be the Princess Principal movies because they got their second legacy point. Hell yeah, guys, let's go! Shout out, fucking 5 years ago, Watch Club. We're almost there. Like,
yeah, it was like our second or third Watch Club.
Second, it was our second show. We did it after Made in Abyss was the first one, I think, right? Yes, good for us. Wow, we've come a long way. Yeah, that's Watch Club. Pete, take it away.
Yes, if you have made this far and you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you're watching or listening to us on. The next week's episode will be the spring review. Look forward to that. Can't wait to talk about Jellyfish and Girls Band Cry and stuff like that. Otherwise, if you are here for Watch Club, we will see you in 2 weeks for Link Click Season 2. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Peace!
Bye-bye.